gamers? What is up? It is
Goddamn,
your
that's
boy.
one beautiful overlay right there.
Was
Who did that? Who did that?
Damn.
What's going on, boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen?
Guys, gals, and MB pals, welcome to EXP Share.
What's up, everybody?
yeah.
It's good to see you all here.
How's it going? We're here with the usual. Got Juice Wayne on the turntables. How'd y'all like that set? Got Kyle XCVI coming through with the new backgrounds, the new overlays.
Let's
little webcam boxes. All right, I can move a bit. All right, I can actually. And then, of course, we can't forget our wonderful guest today, Kefka. How you doing, my dude?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Hope y'all having a great weekend. Man, DJ Juice Wayne. I love it. It was great, man. I was vibing the whole time.
Hell yeah! Glad you enjoyed it, man. Glad you enjoyed
it. Kyle, it's good to see, good to meet you officially.
Yes, absolutely. Nice to meet you. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. And of course, I've been a good friend with J Dogging for a long while, and it's always good to hang out with him.
We ready, dude? Are you guys ready for this conversation? We are going
ready.
We thought Call of Duty digressed a lot.
Yeah, that's so true.
Oh boy,
we did.
Dude, I'm gonna be completely straight up with you guys. Let's just get ahead of it. There's gonna be a lot of Diablo talk coming out of me today. I know we're MMOing it up.
Somebody
Honestly,
has to.
Diablo 4 is kind of MMO-y now. I mean, there's a lot of it coming out of me. I'm a little addicted right now. I've got
is it
I've
though?
got a problem.
Is it though? That's something I want to touch on for sure.
It's there's something to talk about there. It's
definitely.
I'd say it's about half and half, but yeah.
We're gonna find out. I'm actually buying Diablo next week. I'm gonna.
Are you?
Oh, dude.
This is my first time ever playing Diablo, by the way.
Yup, dude. I never played 3.
First time.
I was a big Path of Exile guy. I did Last Epic. I did some other ones, and this is my first Diablo game, and I'm in it. I'm in the trenches right now.
It's both your guys' first.
Yep,
bro.
Cherry.
I got like 1,000 hours in PoE though.
Yo,
I'm not gonna lie.
Do I have to get in now?
First one.
Dude, you kind of gotta we got a clan we could do. I mean,
do I have to pop your guys' cherry? Like, do I have to be there?
I don't know if I'd put it like that, but do whatever you gotta, dog. Damn.
Oh my god, I don't know. I've been I've been telling a lot of people, I just got really burnt out from Diablo 3, and I just don't know if I could go back. But
I'm gonna be honest with you, I got really burnt out playing PoE. I went back and I did a little bit of Last Epic. I did some other games too, and as the weeks approached for Diablo 4, my thought was, it's whatever. I don't care. And my buddies were kind of the same. And then it came out, and we have played nothing since it came out. It just flipped a switch. I started playing a character that I fucking hated, and I got it to level 30, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna start something new. Last night I started another character, and I fell even more in love with it because now I'm playing a character that I actually give a shit about. And it's just
nice.
It's so good, man.
Sometimes it's just finding the right play style that vibes with you, man. And a game that actually lets you experiment and pair together different things to make the play style that you want to play is a good part of player retention, because if you're just stuck with the same 4 classes, you can't do anything with them. I mean, if they fall out of how you like to play a game, how you like to play an MMO at all, it can really tank your interest in it.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna be straight up. I'm gonna be totally honest. I think I've got 2 controversial opinions here for Diablo that I'm gonna get out here, and we can revisit it later maybe, but some things to say that I have to get out there. One, I think Path of Exile is better in every way except for the story. Just gonna toss it out there. That might be controversial. It's whatever. I don't imagine anyone here probably has any crazy takes on that, because I don't know if anyone's played it. That's one take. My second take is that if it wasn't so fucking grindy, Lost Ark would clear every single one of them.
Yeah.
If it wasn't such a grindy Korean MMO slugfest, I think Lost Ark would solo every single one of these games.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. Lost Ark is probably the one game I've played like of that genre that I've played the most. I
Yup.
played the hell out of Lost Ark.
It's got the best combat, I think. It kind of
combat
lacks the freedom.
It felt really good.
Yeah, dude.
Combat felt really good.
Yup. The map is fucking gorgeous. The story's really decent. The combat is maybe the best action combat I've seen in a game like that. The only downside is it doesn't have that system where you can like mutate your skills with gems and stuff. PoE's kind of got that. Diablo 4's got aspects that change things up. Lost Ark doesn't really have that going for it, and that's fine because it's not supposed to be that kind of game. Whereas Diablo 4 is like an ARPG with MMO qualities, Lost Ark is an MMO with ARPG qualities to it. It's like whatever. But if it wasn't so grindy where you had to like get your item score up and hone stuff all the time and make you want to go for a ride on your ceiling fan at least twice a day, I think that game solos the fuck out of both PoE and Diablo 4 and any other game in the market. But because of that specifically, it's not it. But Diablo 4 is good for what it is, and it's new and it's very polished, and as far as stories go, it's probably the best story we've seen in an ARPG so far. The cutscenes are fucking amazing.
The cutscenes are fire.
I'm impressed.
They're
so far.
really good. That's true. That's true.
I was thinking, anyway. I don't know. It's like if you really think about it, it's they kind of just brought the honing system from BDO, honestly.
Yeah, and it's just the worst fucking insult of all time.
They like, I don't know, that game in itself was kind of just like you grind out to quote unquote like a soft cap for max level, and then it's not even grinding at that point. It's just like, yo, how many times can I roll the dice and get the perfect honing stone until I just want to rip my hair out?
Until I decide to open my wallet.
Yeah, exactly.
I opened my wallet twice for Lost Ark, and the second time I sat there and thought, what has become of my life, dude?
Isn't that really, though, the whole point, especially nowadays, for people getting into the MMO business, is how can we add just enough irritation to the mechanics that people still want to keep playing the game, but are just as likely to just say fuck it and actually pay real money on the game beyond cosmetics.
Yeah, I think we're coming out of a clown era for MMOs right now. I think we had a great era back in like the 2000s. You know, we had WoW, we had Guild Wars, we had Neverwinter, a bunch of shit that was. I mean, RuneScape, dog. Come on.
Oh yeah.
Come on. And then it all kind of fell apart. Korean MMOs got big, and Korean MMOs, you know, they're okay, but they took the grinding cash shop bullshit to another level. But I was okay with it for a while.
I will give credit to Korean MMOs, though. They make some beautiful damn worlds.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, one of the games I have the most time in of all time is MapleStory. I played it when I was younger. I played the shit out of it. I still go back occasionally just to test out new characters because I can sit on one map and just jump across left to right killing shit for hours. I could do it all day. But the thing is like for a while, this games as a service, live service, I don't know, man. We've landed on this thing where they're like, hey, who needs to make an actual good, respectable game now when we can just make a shit ton of money off of something that just feels good and is ass and soulless in every other way, which is exactly what BDO is. It feels great to play. I've never pplayed a game that has less soul or heart than BDO. I think that game is literally made just to make money.
It pretty much is the combat's great. Everything else is just like, bye. We're good.
Yeah.
Arcade and Aeon. Oh yeah, those were good ones too.
Those were good. Dude, Terra before they killed it.
Terra
might be the best action combat MMO of all time, and then they butchered it.
I keep hearing that. I never actually got too into Terra though.
It blew my fucking mind, man. I was young at the time, but I was still kind of hard to impress, like I am now. Like instead of being a jaded adult, I was a jaded teenager. And I fucking loaded into that game, and I have fond memories of just going into combat and being like, "This is incredible," and then walking out into the open world and just seeing some sights. I remember thinking like, this rivals Final Fantasy for some of its like fantasy level, like mystical set pieces and areas, zones. It was just amazing, and it had a flight mechanic that was really cool. If I'm thinking of the right game, I think. It was a long time ago. Cut me some slack, but
They
it
tend
was,
to blend
We'll
together after a while.
yeah,
God.
but
Give
it
me a
was
break
it
this
was
time.
fucking amazing, dude. And then someone bought it, I think, and they just fucking ran it into the ground.
It makes you disgusted to hear it.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I
it
was-
happens
you
so
guys are probably
often.
gonna.
Huh?
Well, listen, one at a time, okay? I don't know.
We're all excited here.
Everybody wants to speak. I was just gonna say you guys are probably gonna have to teach me some things, to understand just like the general understanding of MMOs in general, because Lost Ark is the I did play New World. I did play New World. I'll say
I'm
that.
not sure New
But
World counts.
Wait, does New World not count?
No,
I mean,
it counts. I'm just giving it shit. I
Oh.
think New World is the second worst MMO I've ever played in my life. I'm gonna be straight up.
What's the first worst?
Oh, BDO.
Justin, he's on your head, bro. I don't know if you can take this.
Hey.
I don't know if you can take this.
I don't know if I'd call it the worst, but it's definitely fucking lacking content. That's for sure.
Yeah, dog, it's rough out there. I'll be honest. Every time I go to play BDO, I had one time where I played it for a week. That's the farthest I made it. Now I go back to BDO and I'm like, hey, this sounds really fun. I'm gonna touch it. Maybe I was wrong. And I get 15 minutes in and I uninstall that motherfucker. I'm like, well, that was cool.
Well,
I just did it like a month and a half ago. I fucking downloaded it and I was like, hey, do you guys want to play BDO? And my friends are like, not this again. And so I downloaded it on my own just to show them. And I was like, well, I'm going to go in and I'm going to have a great time with this. And I'm going to tell them what they're missing. And then I got in 10 minutes and I was like, never mind. I will never do this again for as long as I live.
It's just one of those MMOs, kind of like WoW is nowadays in a sense, that just, but BDO never had that like low level progression to where the only good part of that game is end game fucking node wars. And when you get max level, you're like, oh shit, I'm there. And then you realize, oh wait, I gotta spend another fucking 2 months grinding out my honing stones to get my attack to even balance to what anybody else is. So like,
of course.
And of course, like a general Korean MMO, it's just like you can literally path yourself to the next quest. Like there is no, oh hey,
there's
cool.
fucking auto-pathing. The game
This is a great world. Exactly. You just say go to the next quest, and your character just automatically runs to the quest giver. Like, bro, what is making you get into this game if like you're just being fucking led everywhere?
Yeah, dude. Well, and the worst part is like, imagine if they took the things in BDO and they just made it into a PvP game. They just took the PvP out of BDO, made it into PvP, gave you a shit ton of cool cosmetics, ways to like change your character around, got rid of all of the grindy bullshit in the first like 80% of the game. Suddenly you've got an amazing game because you can tell.
That'd be too bad.
You can tell that 80% of that game was just put in there to make the other 20% look better and to like pad it out. But if they had any integrity whatsoever and they released the fucking parts of the game that were good and didn't make you suffer through the other fucking 100 hours of dumb bullshit, oh my God, what a game that would be.
So for those who actually don't know, there is a BDO Battle Royale.
Yeah, I've heard the player count's not that high though.
It is diminishing exponentially. I mean, as far as a centralized PvP like you're talking about, that was their fish in the water. But yeah, it wasn't successful at all. Unfortunately.
Apparently they're making a single player game now, which I'm like, well, how are they gonna fuck this up? but it looks fun. It does look fun, and so are the
that's a rhetorical question.
Warframe are making one now, which actually looks really good.
Warframe's making a single player?
Yeah, it actually looks amazing. You should check out the trailer sometime.
Interesting.
I loved Warframe.
Yeah, it's like totally different from Warframe 2, but it uses some of the same systems. A lot of people are really hyped, myself included.
I thought they just announced.
I feel like I'm thinking about a different Warframe.
Was it like Stormhammer? That's not Stormhammer. What was it called?
Warhammer?
No, damn it. It was Warframe something 2. Like they made the first one in 2011, and they just announced the second one that's coming out this year. I can't remember what the hell it's called. It's like something Hammer. God damn it! It's a Warframe game, but I can't think of. I just saw it this morning, and I'm pissed off. I can't remember the name of it right now. I literally just saw it this morning. I was like, this looks pretty good. If the second I find it, I'm gonna say it, and then it'll all come together. But
I have a few on my list for sure as well. Kind of just things that are coming up that we should all MMO wise should put on our radar, but not exactly be excited about, because we all know what happens when we do that.
Yeah, what are you thinking? What's on your list?
Well, so me and the Tone gaming crew, we just signed up for the PAX Day Alpha, which is supposed to be like an MMO survival kind of title. With crafting like Rust and all that. So it's sounds pretty interesting. It looks decent so far.
Y'all looking at Wayfinder at all?
I actually just got out of the beta for that. Under NDA, can't really say anything about it, but it was
I did not
decent.
play it. Did you enjoy it?
It was a good time. I had a few people that joined me. We played for at least 24 plus hours total, so it was
sick.
It's a decent title.
I think it's got potential. I really wanted to play the beta, but when it's on NDA, because I stream so much, it's hard for me to find time, and so I just didn't really touch it. But that and oh man, there's another game. Oh, I've got my keyboard unplugged right now because I'm cleaning it while I talk. But there's another one that's kind of like that I've been thinking about that I keep getting into the beta for. I think it's in beta literally right now. I'll figure it out later and I'll let you know.
Wow.
But
that and
PAX Day looks fire. I'm looking at it right now.
I'm hoping it's decent. Let's see. We were trying to we were looking into Thrones and Liberty, of course. I think another Nexon game.
I'm not sure that game will ever come out, and when it does, it's gonna fucking suck. I'm sure of it. It's a Nexon game, dog. Like I love Nexon, but they all kind of suck in their own special way.
I feel like Nexon's like making too many games too fast. I feel like they need to just focus on like one thing at a time, because they also have Build Experts, which is like a Rogue Company remake game, and that game is great, but it sucks at the same time. I feel like if you just put a few more resources towards this one thing at a time, as opposed to trying to just create 17 games at once, you might actually create some quality shit. I feel like Nexon's just working too fast right now.
They will never do that though. Nexon is, as a lifelong Nexon fan, which is an incredibly painful thing. Don't do it. I'll tell you one thing that you learn very early on, and it's that they are really good at making people think they give a shit, but in reality, they're just there for the money. I mean, the biggest show of that recently was them and their lawsuit against Iron Mace for Dark and Darker. Mm-hmm. They're literally just hitting them with that lawsuit so they can stop them from getting a competitor out, so they can lock it up and make it fail. It's so stupid. And it's just such a fucking shitty little ploy. And I mean, that's Nexon for you. Everything they do is centered around money. And they're like, well, how can we hit the bar just right so that we can make it look cool, but then people come in and give us all their money and then realize it sucks. And then they leave, but we still got their money anyway.
Yeah. Nexon's always just been that cash grabby MMO company. You should not ever expect an actual full-fledged decent game from them.
But sometimes there are glimpses. Like you get the Maple stories where it's like, oh, there's something here. But then you get to sit there and play that thing until you're just totally done with it, and you're like, well, that was fun. I'm glad it totally reached its full potential, and it never did. It never comes close. And you just sit there and you play it, and you're like, imagine all this could be if you had a dev behind it that actually gave a shit.
Yeah, it's like, so as far as Throne and Liberty goes, I saw some PvP on it, a few videos that have gone out, and it's just like it's nice looking. It kind of looks like BDO in a sense, but I'm pretty sure it's a tab target game, and the combat just looks so stiff and slow right now. Like, I don't know if that's just because it's like beta or what, but it's just like you got it. Like, your character is literally waiting until they get this close to the enemy, and then they're just like,
Yup, I'm gonna be honest with you. So I'm a I'm a fucking I'm a turn-based gamer, right? I love turn-based shit. Honkai Star Rail just came out. I've been fucking with that. It's a great time. I've been a big Final Fantasy fan my whole life. I've always kind of liked action combat more, mind you, but I love me some turn-based combat. And so I'm fine with that, but for some reason I've never been able to do tab targeting MMOs. Never in my entire life have I been able to. I will do it. I've played the shit out of Final Fantasy 14. I played a little bit of WoW. I mean, I've played pretty much every big MMO on the market for some amount of time, and I enjoy them. But I don't know if it's like the global cooldowns or what. There's something about it. Maybe it's because we've been so spoiled with like action combat recently, but my little fucking brain, it has the attention span of a goldfish now, and I just can't do that shit anymore, dog. So I don't know. I always see tab targeting and I get really scared.
yeah, that's one debate I always get with people is like, oh, gross, it's tab targeting. Oh, gross, it's action combat. Like, you either like one or the other, pretty much. It's very rare you find somebody that enjoys both to an extent.
Yeah, dude.
It's speaking of tab targeting though. Kefka he's a very avid player of Star Trek Online, which I didn't get into a lot myself back in the day, but it's and I'm 99% sure he's going to confirm this too. I just couldn't, like, the space combat, the ground combat.
Oh yeah.
What combat did you enjoy?
No.
Ready?
The food combat?
Among the Star Trek Online community themselves, many who played both Star Trek Online and the Star Trek Knights of the Old Republic said that Star Trek needs to co-op Knights of the Old Republic's ground combat, and Knights of the Old Republic needed to co-op Star Trek Online space combat. And they
we're talking about the Star Wars MMO now, right?
Yeah. We're talking about the Star Wars Online. That was everybody agreed that the ground combat was a bit shit.
Dude, I have a history. I'm not gonna get in the way of this Star Trek discussion. I've got a little bit of a history with the Star Wars MMO, and I think it's ass. I think it's cheeks.
Yeah.
I think it's bad. I think it's a really interesting take on the formula. I think that it's cool that it kind of plays out like a BioWare single player game with the choices and shit. It's another fucking tab targeting GCD bit of bullshit, dog. I just fucking can't. And they fucking look at what they did to my boy, dude. What happened in like the original fucking Knights of the Old Republic? Like, why didn't we get some shit like that? I want the remake for that to be an action game. I'm gonna be honest, but
okay. that would be interesting.
Somebody school me. Okay, this is the point. This is what I was talking about earlier. Somebody school me. Tab targeting. What does that refer to?
Okay, so
tab literally hitting tab to just like choose one target after the next.
Yeah. So you know how New World, you can aim at your abilities. You could swing wherever the fuck you want. That's the action combat aspect. Tab targeting is like World of Warcraft, Knights of the Old Republic. you don't have to press tab, obviously, but like it's a single target system where you click on your target, your spells go to that target, and until you click on another target, it's not going to go off. And
and
you're faced with
you're
faced with 5 warriors, and a mage comes up, and you're like, oh, I got to take him out. Tab over, you hit tab like 4 times to tab over to him, and it's like, all right, now I'm attacking.
Yeah, the whole tab targeting aspect is because usually default in those games, you press tab and it cycles through the targets that are in your immediate vicinity.
Yeah, exactly. And usually those are also characterized by like long cooldowns on skills, or like longer than you would in an action game. Like in an action game, you can chain shit together and dodge and whatever. In a tab targeting game, usually you have something called a GCD, which is a global cooldown. And it dictates the flow of combat, and essentially it's going to be more tactical because it's where you do rotations of combos. You press like, I mean, in WoW, you see people that have like 30 different abilities. So they're like, I need to press this skill, then this skill, then this skill. And a lot of times you'll set them up in a certain way so that you're minimizing cooldowns, but it's a lot slower than an action combat, and it's a lot less involved because you press one key and they do a skill. You know, it's not very involved combat. It's more tactical thinking. It's kind of boring, I think. But it's got its merit. I can see how it can be good. I prefer among them ones that have lower cooldowns or GCDs, but they definitely feel a little slower.
Okay. And if you get the right type of game that allows you to do it, you can set up a notepad command. All you got to do is press one button on your keyboard and it cycles through.
Yeah, man's over here making macros and shit.
Word. That's what it sounds like.
Star Trek Online does that. Star Trek Online is tab targeting type game, but there's literally a tutorial out there for it's like, if you put this command in a notepad and then put this notepad in the right folder and then go into the game, type in this command into chat, then every time you press your space bar, it cycles through everything that's on your hotbar in game. So you just have to press one button.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's kind of wild.
But the funny thing is that's meta, like the DPS runs. If you want to get a good DPS run, because there's a whole DPS community with like Star Trek Online, and it would be the true for other games too. But yeah, no, the space to activate meta is pretty much what you have to do, so you can cycle through your abilities on your tray, and then all you have to focus on is flying, targeting, and maybe holding your big attacks for when you really want to hit the DPS at the right time and don't want to, have it wasted in just the normal cycle. Because there'd be things like, this does X damage depending on how many stacks you have on a target. This other ability adds those stacks. You don't want to have it activate when you have like one stack. You want to wait till you get the full thing and then go.
So,
learning.
tell us a little about your Star Trek Online play style.
Okay.
Maybe actually let's start with a little backstory into the game for those who haven't played before.
That would be good. That would be good. So a little backstory in the game, and also why I kind of, because I never really considered myself a major Star Trek fan.
Dude, I'm a huge Star Trek fan.
Started. I watched the show. I enjoyed the show, but I never really deep delved into it until I started playing the game. And I started playing the game because at the time I really started regularly playing Star Trek. Halo was big. And I was the guy who would run with the other players, and I was the guy who wanted to control vehicles. I loved the vehicles. I'm a big vehicle type guy. Everything from Mech Warrior to tanks and Halo to Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original. Getting in the tanks there and taking
so
points.
Good.
Yes, that was my shit.
That shit was fire.
At the time, I was like, what bigger vehicle is there out there than a goddamn starship? So,
True.
So I started checking out Star Trek. I really kind of got into it, and it wasn't until I started playing the game and it making so many references to various episodes in the show that I was like, all right, I got to go back and watch everything. And so I started like from Star Trek Enterprise with Scott Bakula. I watched it. Scott Bakula, then the original series, and watched and just binged watch everything Star Trek to get caught up, so I know what the hell they were referencing. And now, suffice it to say, I can definitely say I'm a Star Trek. But
hell yeah, Strange New World is coming out soon. Let's go!
Oh my God, it's the first episode. Captain Pike. You know, everybody has their favorite.
He's my favorite. He's
my favorite too. Yes.
Yes, he's
willing
so good.
to bend the rules, but will stick to them. Listens to his crew. He's not a dick like half the other ones are.
Yup.
And he doesn't get in his own way like some of the other ones. Belle, I know Janeway's your favorite. She can't get out of her own way. And Scott Bakula was the same way.
Wait, real quick question that's kind of unrelated. How do you feel about the Star Trek movies, the ones that they went and made with Chris Pine?
Ooh.
Star Trek movies they made with Chris Pine?
Have you not seen them? So the most recent Star Trek movies, they've got Chris Pine. They've got Ethan Peck playing
the
Spock.
J.J. Abrams one.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. We know about the J.J. Abrams ones. I'm kind of on the side of most of the community, and don't get me wrong, Star Trek Online has helped with this because it's considered a separate timeline.
Yeah.
So you can kind of completely ignore it if you want to, but reference it because, hey, just like the mirror universe exists where everybody's an dick,
yeah,
this other universe, this other timeline also exists because the Romulan pissed and went and destroyed the USS Kelvin, and which is why that time is called the Kelvin time. So
yeah, I was just curious what you felt about it because I personally really love them, but I'm also like a new Star Trek fan. Being that I'm not like a lifelong fan. I started in like college. And I love them, but I know a lot of people that really hate them.
And I do too. I'm of the mind. I'm one of these people. I might not personally like the J.J. Abrams films, but I respect the importance it has to the franchise and bringing new people into it who can also go, you know, it's like you might be attracted to the shiny of J.J. but then once you get into the actual series, you'll appreciate it.
Yeah.
So it's a gateway drug.
Yeah.
We like gateway drugs here.
About Discovery. Discovery really got me into Star Trek, weirdly enough. And then everyone was like, "Wait, you like Discovery?" And I was like, "What do you mean you like Discovery?"
I never got to watch Discovery. No. I've always had it on my list, but I just never got around to it.
It's very different, dude. Some people love it. Most people. So here's the thing: if you are not a massive like OG Star Trek fan, you will like it. If you are, you will probably have a fucking rod up your ass and you won't like it because they're like, it's just not Star Trek. Yeah. And it's like, come on, man.
As they love to do.
I gotta respect that they're willing to experiment right now. And that's the thing. Everybody wants something new and different. And the only way to get new and different is to experiment with new and different. And sometimes it's going to work and other times it's going to flop. And that's why I don't hate on things like the J.J. Abrams ones, even though I didn't really personally care for them. I'm not going to hate on them because I know their importance to the series. Somebody's going to go out there and love that. I actually did kind of enjoy Star Trek Discovery, but I also understand that it's that more actiony, attention-grabbing, fate of the universe style that is kind of the style of other media that we have right now. Other movies are very, wow, big bang booms, grab your attention, not really thought-provoking, but, the police chase is really fucking badass. That kind of attention-grabbing, right?
True.
And the fact that even then, they still add lore to the overall series and I'm very much a lore-oriented person, and that's regularly what gets me into games is the lore behind it. Sure, we might be dealing with BBEG number 247 in the timeline here, but finding out that this guy was here before, and that his rise to becoming the big bad of this current story that I'm playing in is because somebody betrayed him, and 200 years ago is arguably why I play games. I love finding that shit out and finding out the reason behind how the world works.
I agree with you. That's the whole reason why I play Destiny.
Discovery definitely helps out with that. There's an exchange. Now, it's technically as far into the future as anything in the franchise has actually gone, including Star Trek Online, which takes place relatively in the future compared to the other storylines. I'm not going to spoil anything. There's an exchange between two individuals, and one of them's eating an apple from a tray that came out of the replicator. Now, many of us have already come to the understanding that the replicator is basically like a 3D printer, but at the molecular.
It's legit.
So it's legit, yeah. So it's actually without the fantasy stuff. Anyway, it's a 3D player at the molecular level. So we know, and Star Trek Voyager actually kind of helped with this concept because they had to limit how much use. They're building things off of like a stockpile of atoms or materials somewhere. So somewhere in their cargo hold, like the carbon, the other chemical compounds or whatever, that if you chemically combine them together, you get an apple. Well, they got to get that material for somewhere. Blocks of it at the nearest starbase time they stop by. So it's not an infinite resource. They're getting it off of somewhere, and they did something that made sense to me, because I always thought is like, okay, when you go and order a cup of, okay, I'll say a Canon one, Earl Grey tea hot, and you get a nice cup of Earl Grey tea inside the ceramic cup and everything. What do you do with the cup? What do you do with it? People aren't running around washing dishes. They put the thing back into it, and it deconstructs it back down and uses the material to make another cup later on. Well, where's the other material come? And this is a scientific society that recycles and does everything efficiently and everything. So coming back to the scene in question, you've got two individuals, and one of them eating an apple, and she's like, this isn't as bad as I thought it would be, but it's still not as bad as fresh apples, and I could get you fresh apples if you really want. Homegrown on the farm, legit. Which also explains why so many starships have actual cooks to cook real food. So apparently, while replicated food isn't necessarily terrible, it's off a little bit because it's replicated food, and so it's still more appropriate to eat something that somebody cooked.
Yeah.
I mean,
all that said, he goes, the guy she's talking to looks at her and goes, "It's made from our shit."
Oh my
And she
gosh.
kind of looks at him, like takes the piece out of her mouth and puts it out, and he explains how they recycle waste material for material to use in the replicator. So it seems like such an innocuous thing that fans have been thinking about in the background for so long, and they basically canon is like, yeah, we recycle everything.
That's the Star Trek special, man. Like,
yes,
people look for that shit like crazy, and I think it's part of the reason why some of the OG fans get really mad when they start doing new stuff, because they're like, oh man, what are they gonna add that's just gonna make everything more ridiculous and stupid? But
or worse, contradict what us in the community have already agreed upon is the way X thing works. When they explain that X doesn't work that way, it works this way. Well, fuck. And I think that's where people get pissed off.
That's kind of one thing that, because me and my dad, of course, are Star Trek and Star Wars fans, but he always preferred Star Trek for that aspect of this shit can actually happen. Like this is actually explainable. Whereas, what the fuck's a kyber crystal, bro? Where the fuck you got?
Space magic. Yeah. Space magic. Midichlorians. That's
Yeah,
who do it.
that's what I
What
do.
the fuck is a midichlorian?
Metachlorians, bro. I swear to
Is
God.
it an alien? Is it
Dude,
a force of the
Something came back in
little-
time, bro, and just like
It always kind of
is it
kills
a
me.
bacteria? What the hell is
Yeah.
it
It always
sounds
kind of
like
kills me that Star Wars got so big because it's got some really cool shit in it, but it's always been so basic and like kind of not written well. And I almost feel like George Lucas just did a bunch of ayahuasca one night and was like, dude, I've got the greatest fucking idea known to man. Get this. People in space, big ships, right? But they've got swords made of lasers. And then there's this guy he looks like a really fat slug. I think he's really dope. And it's just, I swear to God, man, I don't know. It's
He goes and go.
look at the
Just
time
period.
that all this was brainstormed. Probably
Yeah.
not far off.
yeah,
Well,
right.
and the crazy thing is, like, if you just look at the movies, I feel like, I don't know, a lot of the Star Trek movies, and I'm a bigger Star Wars fan than I am a Star Trek fan, I think. I think I like it more, but I think the Star Trek media has always been written so much better. It just, it's so bizarre to me, but.
And that kind of goes back to the, and it's relative to the game because the game is very much this, but it kind of goes back to the difference between something that's very well written and kind of has scientific backing or plausibility, and something that's just flashy and cool and laser explosions in space. Play that. Who cares what the physics says? It looks cool. It really comes down to Star Trek is rules as written, to use a D&D term. Star Trek is rules as written and makes a good story. Star Wars is all fluff. It is all rule of cool stuff.
That's fair. That's so fair.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I know there's a lot of people that like to bitch and complain on which one's better than the other, but sometimes you need a break from one and you need the other, and it's good that it's there.
My take has always been like, how are you going to sit here and complain about one or the other and take a side when there are two fucking amazing sci-fi IPs that you can take in, and instead of taking both in and enjoying them, you're like, well, actually, I hate this one because the other one is way cooler. Like, what are you doing?
No, just
wow. Pulling up the glasses. Well, if you look at the detail on the phasers, all right, they're a little more.
Well, I'll have you know that Star Wars is such bullshit because between games and movies, the lightsabers work different. Come on, man, have some consistency.
But don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. One of the reasons why I like Star Trek is because of the explainability. They try to explain that their stuff has a plausible reason to work, and there's a part of me that really enjoys that. I play Dungeons and Dragons, of course, and I like. And while I could very easily, as like a dungeon master, hand wave that a Magitech engine and airship that runs off magic just works and it's cool. Who cares? We got a story to write. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's also something nice in being going and say, okay, well, the engine works because if you apply this, like if you sacrifice this level of a spell, it'll run for 9 hours, type thing, and it works because of the explaining it. There's a way to do it rule of cool where the people who are just like, I just want to see shit blow up, I love it.
Because it drains the magic of my enemies.
Gritty, I think applying to both works. And if you don't want to apply to that's a style choice, and there's nothing wrong with a style choice, because when I get tired of that style, hey, Star Wars. I want to shit blow up in space. Come on, let's go.
It does kind of kill me when people make fun of Star Wars for not being like super accurate or super based in science, because it was never the point for it to be.
That was never the point, man.
It was never the point. And the thing
I
is
hate
like,
that shit.
there's no denying at the end of the day that if you're gonna judge by what the general populace likes more, they like more when something's cool and doesn't have a fucking explanation on it. Because like, if you're really gonna get into the nitty gritty of it, Star Wars is a million times bigger and more important to the state of our society right now than Star Trek ever was.
Yeah.
And I love Star Trek, so that's
And
not
that's
like me hating on Star Trek, but it's just a fact. Like, that's how this shit works.
It is. It absolutely is. And it's not like Star Trek doesn't have any impact itself, because it just has an impact to a different type of person.
Yep.
And it's at the end of the day, it's like comparing chocolate and vanilla. Either flavor is not going to be for everybody, but the people that can enjoy both flavors got more to enjoy.
Well, listen, I don't know if I'd go that far. I mean, I think there's definitely like one flavor that just solos there. I mean, if we're
going to get controversial up in here.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
No, at the end of the day, you know, you've got a media that everybody's covered. You try to get everybody covered, and just enjoy what you like to enjoy.
Yeah,
I
agree.
For real. And that again just goes back to the whole full circle. Go back to what MMO do you like? Do you like tab targeting? Do you like action combat? Like it
exactly.
Tab target. I don't care.
Different strokes for different folks. Am I right?
Am I enjoying myself? How does it work? I don't care. I just want to see that guy blow up in a fireball.
So what are your positives and negatives coming from Star Trek Online directly, as far as how it's made? Because you played it for how long now?
Oh my god, years.
Oh my god, there's the question.
There's the question. Let me pull up Steam real quick. I got the info. Let's see.
2,700 hours.
Yeah, 2,952 hours.
God damn, let's go, dude.
Damn.
That's a legend.
Let's go, dude.
As I said before, I got into Star Trek Online because I love the idea of, you know, piloting starships, and I got into it. And at the time, I got in when it was in Legacy of New Romulus. So to give a quick background of Star Trek Online takes place roughly 30-40 years after the events of both Star Trek The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. So all the major events from those are in the past. So it's got its own new galaxy threats to deal with, and it starts you off with the Borg. The Borg have always been a staple bad guy of the series, and starting out when you literally have nothing. Actually, at the time is kind of because the Borg are supposed to be scary. The Borg are supposed to be this major threat, and that's something that comes back later on, which is kind of one of the funny things about it. But as I said before, Star Trek Online takes a bit in of the graduating class of the Star Trek Academy, year 2409. And you, depending on when you started playing, you actually ended up with a different tutorial. But I think the current tutorial is you go out on your cadet cruise with your captain aboard whatever ship you decided to name your ship. During the cadet cruise, a distress call is detected, and you go to find it and basically get jumped. It was a trap. Over time, it's been the Ferengi. It's changed. One time, it was the Borg. Another time, it was Q fucking with sending back to Wolf 359, which was a major event in Star Trek history where one Borg cube like nearly annihilated the Federation. It was back at the start of when they were into them. Anyway,
Yeah.
the tutorial quest is always the same. Your captain dies and field commissions you, his chosen, to the captain's position, and that's how right out of the academy you gain control of your starship, and then by completing this, dog on the ropes position where your captain's dead, you've gotten caught in a trap, and you're outnumbered, outgunned. You successfully defeat the enemies, and when you get back to Star Trek or the Star Trek, Starfleet, they say you did such a good job with the field commission, and thus starts your career exploring the galaxy, taking place in various events throughout Star Trek history. That makes a lot of logical sense in the continuation of the shows.
Being a straight badass.
Yeah, being a straight
Straight up.
badass. But of course, the weird thing about Star Trek Online is the fact that it is an MMO, so it is very combat oriented, which, if any fans of the series counter to what Star
Is he good enough for you guys too?
Yeah,
Or
is
is it
anyone
just
else
me?
having some? It's getting
Yeah.
worse too.
What is it?
It happened for me a little bit.
Your mic is periodically cutting out.
Is
For
it?
like longer periods, yeah. Sometimes it's like a whole sentence.
What the fuck? Okay.
It's kind of cool though that they give you like. I'm gonna wait till he comes back.
Yeah, I thought I was just imagining it for a sec.
Well, at first I was like, is it just me?
There we go.
Earlier, it wasn't happening as bad. It was just like a half a second, no big deal. I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We
why.
back? We good?
I hope so. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, we back.
We
I
back.
guess.
All right. Sorry
guess
about
we're
that.
gonna find out.
Good grief. Discord's being weird, I guess.
Always, dude. I've been having some recent like flicker issues when it comes to like streaming on Discord. I don't know if anybody else has, but yeah, it's been
We've always had
trippy.
our own issues. It's kind of wild.
I'm sorry, guys.
No,
It's all
you're good. The cool thing about the Star Trek thing you're talking about is I think Star Trek's universe is really primed for something like that. I think it's pretty dope. It sounds like they kind of give you your own Kobayashi Maru, but like not Kirkified.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
that's pretty dope. I think that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, the story writing has been fantastic for the series. Over the years, I've watched them upgrade the graphics because it's been around quite a while actually. And for the longest time, they've pretty much had to, in a way, keep the franchise alive story wise, even if it's a bit slightly not canon.
Yeah.
But really, what other content was there out there? It was only Star Trek Online that was adding new content to the genre, which has only become even more interesting nowadays. That there is new content that is coming out, and they've
Yup.
they're trying to figure out their own path for handling that. But for the longest time, it's just kind of been this little niche Star Trek game that everybody kind of enjoyed, played with. They didn't have enough money to hire any of the actors except for one or two. Leonard Nimoy apparently was one of the first few actors to really sign on with the game because a lot of the tutorial little explanations of the state of the galaxy as you try to acclimate yourself to this galaxy that is continued past what you do know from the series. Hearing Leonard Nimoy's voice was kind of cool, and since then the budget has gotten bigger, the team has gotten bigger, and now they can afford people like Tim Russ to come reprise his role as Tuvok from Voyager. Michael Dorn reprises his role as Worf, who is now an ambassador to the Klingon Empire.
Oh, that's cool.
and even recently, and they've managed to get in the recent few years, their budget for their ability to hire some of these actors has just expounded and allowed them to finally get voice acting from a lot of the original actors. So especially recently, they've been able to get I can't think of her name, unfortunately, but she played Seven of Nine in Voyager. She's been reprising her role in the series. And another example of someone, and just to explain about how big the game has gotten, even as old as it is, it's been argued that oh god, what's her name? She played Janeway. In Star Trek Voyager. God, what is her name?
Oh gosh, it's like on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah. Well, anyway, for the longest time, they've been trying to get her to reprise her role, and they haven't been able to afford her. And then for a good while there, she was playing the character Red in Orange Is the New Black, so she was unavailable. But after Orange Is the New Black hit a little break period, especially during COVID, they apparently got her to do some lines in recent episodes, reprising her role as the new Admiral Janeway and Marshal Janeway for her Mirror Universe counterpart. So that's been a big thing for the Star Trek franchise.
I would absolutely kill to do some lines with Janeway. That's all I'm gonna say.
Right.
I think I know who
Kate
you're talking about.
Mulgrew, thank you, Bill.
I do remember Red from Orange Is the New Black. So pretty sure I know who you're talking about.
I never saw that.
I didn't either. And honestly, a lot of people tried to get me to watch it, Doc. Something about it. I look at that show and I'm like, I literally don't and will never give a fuck. I don't know.
It takes some time. It took a little time for me to
like, props to y'all that enjoy it. It's just, I don't know if it's for me.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it, yeah.
But I do definitely enjoy the story writing. To fully round out the question, I do enjoy the story writing, and that actually comes into the negative for things. It always seems like the positive and the negative are always deeply entwined. But the story writing for Star Trek Line has been fantastic. And as we said before, the space combat is really enjoyable. The ground combat, of course, is where it gets a little weird, but those two things, the solid space combat and great story writing with a bunch of helping of nostalgia is what makes Star Trek Online great.
So, random kind of relevant question. Do you think
no.
I don't know. It's a no. I don't think. I don't.
I'm gonna hear that question. No.
Do you think if they completely took out ground combat, would it still be a stable, enjoyable Star Trek title?
Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say no, because the downside to Star Trek Online is it's very franchise based. And people are going to be looking for an equal amount of space combat and ground situations, because that's what the show was. You had, fights with the Klingons and the Romulans in your starship in the middle of the vacuum of space. But then you would have missions where you would go down and you would find out why some weird alien tree is screaming so loudly that you can hear it in subspace. It's expected.
Yeah.
The only thing where Star Trek Online fails in that category, and they originally did have something that kind of did it, and then they did away with it because it was an undesired piece of content. But the episodic nature of episodes, which that's what Star Trek Online also calls their missions, their quests, is as episodes, and they really are laid out like an episode, which was always kind of great. Everything's so combat oriented. Once you get to a certain point in Star Trek Online, you are at war constantly. There's very little time
Hell
to go
yeah.
explain things.
Yeah.
And while there is, and that's just the nature of an MMO to begin with. I agree. And there are one or two episodes that, even though they are combat oriented, fits with a typical combat oriented episode of the week for Star Trek. But the rest of the time you're just at war constantly. And there has been a little complaint in the community. It was like we kind of miss the exploration clusters. So the exploration clusters were a piece of sunsetted content in the game where you would go there and you would randomly find a world, and either it would be a random little mission. You would encounter with an alien species. Maybe it's first contact, maybe it's a combat encounter, maybe it's nothing at all. You're just scanning the system for materials, and you do get crafting materials out of it, but that's all you do. You go, you scan this meteorite, you get materials. You go, you scan this little puff of cloud, you get materials. And then you finally get to the planet, and then you go down and explore the planet, and it's kind of more of the same. You're either scanning random things to get crafting materials, or you're interacting with an alien species. You got to deliver, 12 water purification plants to this guy in this town, or it's a hostile species that beam down with you and you got to fight with them. That was the extent of their little exploration thing. But at the same time, that's also part of what makes Star Trek. Star Trek is the random weird alien of the week. And they never really did that right in Star Trek Online. That I explained to you was the closest they got, and they were like, nobody likes this content, let's get rid of it. So it's not even in the game anymore. But it is definitely missing from Star Trek Online, which is a shame. I would love for them to do a whole nother section, a whole new season where they take a break from all the war and just have an exploratory season that re-adds a more refined, polished, random alien of the week type encounter that you could do.
Hell yeah.
Before we get back to blowing everything all to Kingdom Come. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy that part too, but that comes back to what I was saying, is that a lot of people play Star Trek Online because of its resemblance to Star Trek Online, and it does it very, very well in the story writing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's a very solid title for sure.
I've never played it. In fact, I kind of forgot it was a thing for a long time. And then anytime I thought about it, I was like, God, this thing's probably so antiquated. I don't know. I kind of, there have been a lot of shitty little
Minecraft
Star Trek
graphics.
games. Yeah. Well, Minecraft, don't hurt it like that. Dog. I mean,
Minecraft is timeless.
Got
It's
a lot
classic.
going
Leave
for
it alone.
But and for some reason, when I look at that game, and it's always been unfounded, I really had no reason for it. And I think it's because I tried some of those little mobile games. I did a sponsored deal for Fleet Command, and that game is fucking awful. It's so bad. And I looked at those and I was like, I'm not sure you can make a good Star Trek game, because the thing is like a lot of these Star Wars games until lately were also kind of ass. There were a lot of really good ones.
Let's talk about it.
You're saying Fleet Command was awful, and there's one guy in this cast that played it for fucking 4 months like a weirdo. Bro, if that wasn't a waste of my goddamn life, I don't know what is.
Wait, what are we talking about? What game?
The Fleet Command.
Oh,
the mobile.
No way. That game makes me so sad.
It wasn't. It wasn't really the gameplay that got me into it. It was more just like I actually got into like the community. I had an actual fleet. I was, I had a guild to run. So, of course that comes with some responsibility.
Okay.
So that did keep me for a while, but
I showed up to get paid and then never went back.
Yeah. Well, I was actually thinking of taking one of those sponsorships. I'm like, I could go back. I'm kind of like
Bro,
I'm
you
not.
could cash out with your crew. Just be like, hey, everyone, go make a Smurf account, make me some money real quick, and we'll repurpose the
Pour
money
out
for
with
some
the
crew
rest of
events,
us. Come
some
on.
guild shit.
There's
Yeah,
nothing
for
wrong
real.
with it.
It was just like when it first came out, it was a good concept. It was interesting, but like the more and more it went on, it's just Scopely just turned into fucking Nexon, and it just became a pay to win fucking shit show. And it was like, yeah, bye.
Done.
I'm good. I'm good with that. I spent maybe like a total of $100 on that game. And I was just like,
Hey,
no, I can't
nice.
keep up anymore. Just nope. That's
Damn.
that's where I draw the line, dude. But yeah, I got into that. Actually, recent one I did get into for a couple months too was Doomsday: Last Survivor. I don't know if any of you played that.
I've
It's
never heard
Is
that in
that
my
the-
life.
Is that the That's not the zombie game that had graphics like it was from Newgrounds, was it?
not
Actually,
Newgrounds
that's kinda-
directly.
Kind of goaded.
Not Newgrounds directly, but it was a zombie game. It was
okay. I gotta break this in. And every streamer here will know it. The default follow skins for Streamlabs OBS of the zombie chasing after you.
yeah. It wasn't like that. It was a little more fleshed out. It was the reason I liked it so much is it was your standard build and battle game, but you can actually zoom out to the open world and actually turn it into an RTS and command your squads to move to certain locations and stuff. So it was a little bit different. For those who have also played, I believe it's I want to say it's Lords Mobile, but I don't think so. My roommate would know the answer, but I don't think he's here right now. But it's literally a fucking copy paste of that game, and I didn't realize it until I was already 2.5 months into Doomsday, and I was like, "Oh wow, this is this is so original, bro!" Literally, the UI is exactly the same. Every menu is the fucking same. It's like,
damn.
yo,
Man's been
can
playing
I?
the great value version this whole time?
Wait, bro, let me copy your homework. All right, just change the answers. Nope, not gonna do it. This same exact shit.
Man's been streaming on Kick and didn't even know Twitch was a thing.
Exactly. Fucking
Especially with the
exactly.
same UI.
It was it was scary how I go, dude. How are you guys not getting copyright for this? What?
Now,
the
did you
fuck?
ever end up playing the game that it was based on?
No, fuck no.
What? You telling me you spent all that time and you didn't even play the original? That was probably better.
It was probably more like probably the same exact shit.
Maybe, but dude, if they're good enough to be copied, that means they got something going on, and a lot of those games are cheap as fuck. I would have tried the original just to be like, listen, if I've been playing Great Value, just imagine how good the name brand is.
Bro, I sold both my accounts, right?
You sold them?
Oh my
Yep.
God.
I got my main account, we had some PayPal issues. Again, it was kind of just a in clan thing. Hey, sure, I'll take your account, whatever. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, but I kind of want some money for it. So, what you willing to give me? And so we kind of settled on $50, and the dude was having PayPal issues because he's in Germany. And I'm like, fuck. So,
PayPal issues.
I really don't want to play this game, but I want to get money for it. So what else can we do?
I really do want to get paid.
And he's like, why don't I just buy you a Steam game? And I'm like, okay, cool. What about a Steam game? So I go through. Fucking Doom Eternal is on sale for $30. I'm like, yo, just get me this. And
oh shit,
everything's paid for. I don't even care. I will put hours into this that will make up for everything. Just buy me fucking Doom Eternal, and we'll call it even. And then I also had a second account that I was gonna kind of turn into a quote unquote farm account, but I just left it on the other server, and another dude bought that one for $25 too. So I'm like, all right, I'm net positive. Net positive, bro. Let's go.
And maybe we should just set
That
up
worked
bots
out.
and just use that to fund the podcast. Or selling accounts and shit.
Yeah, bro.
Line it
Let's. All
up.
right. What are we playing today, boys? But yeah, it's fucking. I don't know. There's some wild shit out there for sure. We're definitely getting into the time where, guys, if you have opinions in chat, want to get in on the conversation, feel free to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where we're definitely gonna start laying some things down. And first off, all right, the first thing I want to talk about, all right, big debate here, boys. How big does an MMO have to be? Wait, what? Wait.
Sorry, walked right into that. Walked right into that. Doors open. Doors open. I had to walk in.
Damn.
Sorry.
Damn.
Sorry.
Yikes.
So, how many players have to be on one server?
He rephrased the whole thing, bro. He went back and said, "I'm starting over."
He really did. That was great.
Let's start this over.
Start, first word and everything. He restructured it.
How big does it have to be?
What is satisfactory to you?
2.5 inches is pretty big, personally. If I had to pin it down, I'd say that's pretty fucking big.
Oh, fuck.
Back me up here, right? 2.5 is big, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, dude. I mean, wait, people
yeah,
have bigger than 2.5. Wait,
Make America great. Wait, what?
I will say it doesn't matter how big it is. There's always somebody out there that will enjoy it.
True.
People with 2.5-inch penises say. That's a 2.5-inch penis haver saying. I don't know what to. That's how you get through the day. I don't know what to say.
I don't have to compete to that question at all.
Holy
I
shit!
know what I'm packing, and I'm not.
I know.
Wait a minute. Let's not start talking about our penises now. I'm sorry. What question were you asking?
Wait.
Go ahead.
Hold on, my pants are already off. Wait, what? Wait.
Pants are on
Oh,
ankles now.
fuck, dude. Oh my god,
I
this
always
is
got that motherfucking thing on hand, bro.
He got the thing on him.
This is quality content with a KW right now. Like, what the fucking hey, dude.
Quality.
Holy shit.
Think what y'all want. I don't give a fuck.
But for real, so big question: how many players have to be on one single server in order for the game to be considered massively multiplayer?
I would say
minimum 1,000.
Damn, is that a thing?
I think it just has to have enough that you are passing by players in every zone.
Yeah.
I think there has to be. I think it's not even about number. Obviously, there's a bare minimum you have to have in order to achieve that. I mean, it depends on map size, how big the game is, what the quality or what the activities are like. But I think it just has to feel alive.
You have to not feel alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think in recent years, like the last decade, we've kind of moved away from the multiplayer bit of MMOs. They're all like single player games that you can do with other people, and like you're gonna suffer until you get to end game, and then there's stuff you can do with them. Like,
I don't know. Other than the suffering part at the end game, there is something about
server strain.
That was something that I wanted to talk about with games like Genshin Impact, which are straddling that line of being a single player game and an MMO. Yeah. But I guess I could get the thought out now and just be over and done with. That's something that I've actually kind of desired in MMORPGs, because MMORPGs have always kind of fit to the same mode. You have, to explain it the way that I've always considered it, and I always thought it was ridiculously funny, but it is what it is you've got a town with an NPC giving out a quest, and you've got 30 people gathered around this one quest giver who's telling everybody, "Oh my God, you're the savior, chosen one, and well, there's 30 of us, motherfuckers. Shit, you know.
Destiny.
And to be fair, that's kind of how MMOs have to be structured in a way if you want to have a consisting story or whatever. You know, everybody's there and everybody can see the same NPCs and stuff like that. What I've always desired in a MMORPG is something that, and I really don't know the best way to structure it because in my mind the only way it really comes out is just, oh well, all you want is co-op. And in a way, kind of what I always want is co-op. I want something that's structured kind of like Genshin Impact, but plays out more like the multiplayer mod for Skyrim when it comes to joining up with other players. I want to be able to do the single player quests with friends. And that's something that I've always kind of desired in something like that mod that I mentioned, you know. Yeah, let's go fucking take on the final boss with 4 of us motherfuckers that have leveled our own way up by ourselves. Or if somebody's having a problem with a quest, they can bring their friend in who has a different play style that helps them out more in this quest or whatever. Yeah, it's like Borderlands. Yeah, like Borderlands or anything like that. I've always desired that more than the just, oh, you're so special and so are you and you and you.
Yeah.
So special no more, do
I think that it's a necessary evil. So one place that MMOs traditionally have always kind of sucked is stories, right? And I think it's specifically because of the unique issue that you're pointing out here, which is that you want to have a lot of players, but you also want to have an impactful experience in the story, in the narrative. But if you're just like part of this army of millions of strong people that are committing to one central thing, that's not going to attract most people, I think.
Yeah.
You have to have character focused dynamics. You have to have, character growth, and you have to grow as a hero, a savior. You have to feel important. And I'm okay with it personally. I do think I like the idea of having something generalized too, though, because you're right, it does feel weird. I don't know if there's an answer to that.
Actually,
I
now
mostly
that I think about it.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Now that I think about it, I honestly think that's why I played Star Trek Online the most. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm coming to this realization. That's why I played it so long. Star Trek Online is probably the closest to the appropriate way of doing that as possible. Because when you're doing a mission, like I said before, they treat the missions, the quests that you do in the game like episodes. And you go into them individually. You are the main focus of the story when you go into these missions, when you do these quests. And so your exploits in past missions are referenced to when you talk to the NPCs to these deals. Oh, you've already destroyed the Borg when you were just a cadet and everything. That's impressive or whatever. I'm going to mention something about that, sort of thing. But if you needed help on a quest, you could totally team up and go to a party of up to 5 players into the same quest. And while y'all would still receive the same information, it would scale the mission difficulty to how many players were in there. And I've done a couple of runs like that where missions where there were never enemy dreadnoughts before, where I rolled up with 5 other captains and they got to throw dreadnoughts. The balancing is right. So it actually changes the missions up a little bit, but the story's the same. I want more games like that.
Yeah, and that I think especially Star Trek is a very good example of an MMO. Star Trek, World of Warcraft, BDO, Neverwinter, stuff like that. I'm more bringing it up because I get really I wouldn't say agitated, but it just makes me cringe every time somebody refers to Destiny as an MMO or Borderlands as an MMO, and it's like, no, it's an instance-based co-op. It's not massively multiplayer.
But there is such a thing as an FPS MMO, and I think some of those touch on it. I would say if you were to pull my leg and I had to choose, Destiny would probably be my choice for an example of an FPS MMO.
I gotta ask a question real quick. First of all, MMO. Let's remember that it just stands for massively multiplayer online.
Mm-hmm.
If the discussion here is that they don't fit into the MMORPG setup, I have one question, and it's whether FPS games can be considered an RPG.
100%.
100%.
I think it really depends on. It comes down to the mechanics. If it's just like well, I don't play enough Destiny.
Well, see, and that's the thing is,
comment,
I play a shit ton of Destiny, and I think it's true because
I wouldn't.
It does. It has stats. It has loot.
Yeah, that's true. To me, an RPG, a role-playing game, is where you are playing a character, you are playing a role, and you have some sort of level up progression. If you didn't have that level up, if you have that level up progression, you can accurately consider yourself an RPG. Considering that what do most people think of RPGs? Most people think of RPGs as swords and magics and stuff like that. So if you had something like Dungeons and Dragons not Dungeons and Dragons Online. No, better example. Elder Scrolls Online. ESO. Elder Scrolls Online is probably the best example of something that kind of touches on when we think of like Destiny is a first-person MMORPG.
Yeah.
Which that's where the thing gets confused when you think, because when you think of a first-person shooter, you're thinking. I think most people would think like Call of Duty, or Doom or something where you don't have that progression in there. But with things like Destiny, you do. So I think there's a case where, and granted, you're adding a whole bunch of fucking acronyms, but it is a first-person MMORPG.
Yeah.
It just straddles the line. It straddles the fence.
Yeah, I've seen people have takes on this all the time that like feel either way. Mm-hmm. I'm always of the opinion that I think Destiny is an MMORPG.
And I would agree with you.
I think that the biggest thing though is like it lacks things that traditional MMOs have, which are things that we have taken for granted in a lot of ways. Like there's no player housing in Destiny. There's no trading. There's no life skills.
I need stuff like from Warframe.
They did just add fishing though, and let me tell you, I am a Destiny fisherman, my friend. I spent like 2 or 3 hours the other day doing it. It was fucking amazing.
There's a joke between my community that you don't have a triple.
You just cut out.
You cut out on the worst.
No, I did. No.
You don't have a AAA.
You don't have a AAA game unless you have fishing in it somewhere.
That's fair. That's real. I agree. I fucking agree. But yeah, I mean, I think Destiny is up there. I think it's kind of frustrating that they would call it one because it's kind of bare bones in what it allows you to do. I mean, a lot of times it feels like it is just a single player game with other people doing the single player shit with you, and then they're like, oh, and here's some other stuff you can do, I guess. Like you can queue up for the single player missions to do them together, or you can go do our half-baked PvP, or you can do this weird third thing that we haven't acknowledged in 4 years. It's it's this whole fucking ecosystem, and it's really weird, but I feel like their heart's in the right place, and they're gonna start adding to it. They've said that after this next expansion, we're really gonna see what Destiny's made of and what they can add to it. And now that they've added fishing and they're looking at roguelike game modes for like horde stuff, I think we're gonna get MMO like hardcore Destiny, either 2 or 3. I think we're gonna get like player housing in our ships. I think we're gonna get a bunch more socials things and little games you can do on the side. When I think of games that have a lot of side content, I think of Lost Ark. I think Lost Ark, at least in Korea, has maybe the single greatest amount of things you can do to go sideways when you're playing. If you don't want to work on the story, if you don't want to grind, they have all these different little game modes that are actually pretty fun, and they give you cool shit that help you. And I think that we're going to see Destiny get a little closer to that. They've shown that they want to do it, but they've been locked in their formula for 10 years now because that's what they did when they started Destiny, and they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And so now that I think they kind of know and they're landing on it, what I will say is what I would love to see is a Destiny 3 after Final Shape that's made in an engine that wasn't the one that was used for Halo Reach. And I would love to see all of the past Destiny 2 content at least be there with new engine capabilities, a graphical overhaul, and a shit ton of MMO, like traditional MMO stuff in it.
That would be pretty dope. If they did something like that, even I might be tempted to take a bite out of that.
I mean, it would be if you took the ship flying in space from Star Citizen, you dumbed it down. Honestly, not even Star Citizen. Do it from like Elite Dangerous or even No Man's Sky. I'm okay with either of those. And you put that into Destiny and you added some of the MMO like side friend shit, like you can go fishing or you can go and do life skills or whatever that means in Destiny, or you can go do whatever else. I think suddenly you have the greatest live service game of all time.
That would be amazing.
Two things.
At least for me as a space fan, like sci-fi. But sorry, Juice, I think I cut you off. What were you saying?
It's fine. Yeah. It's fine. If so we can't forget that Destiny also has raids.
Correct.
I know it's a big thing with MMOs as well, but if let's just say Fallout 4 had a legitimate online co-op
Fallout 76.
Oh, 76.
Fallout 4. not Fallout 76. We're not doing Fallout 76.
So you're Fallout saying like 4. If you took the Fallout 4 co-op mod and you had raids
and everyone could team up, do whatever the fuck you want, because we all know like the building of Fallout 4 was insane.
Yeah.
Are we not calling that an MMO?
I would. I wouldn't be happy about it, but I would. Well, I feel like we would. I don't know. Okay, here's my thought. Thought. In the world where you travel around, do you see other players, or do you only see them when you group up?
Oh well, you see other players. You know, it essentially would be like that. Well, I mean, with Destiny, you only see other. No, actually, with Destiny, you see other players on.
There's a max instance number of like 8 people or whatever. So you see people, but not as many people as maybe you should.
Sure. Once you like kind of go on a mission, then those people kind of disappear or whatnot.
Yes,
fair enough.
Yeah, except for your fire team. Yeah.
Well, also in the aspect of breaking down the word or the acronym massively multiplayer, like,
and that's the thing.
RPG is role playing game at the end of the day. So whether or not there's an actual XP progression system is up in the air to be like, okay, if it doesn't have XP progression, does that make it not an RPG?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think my full take on the Fallout 4 thing is that if you just have like you can play with your friends and go do raids, that's an MO. But if you see people wandering around and you can party up with them, or you know, they're just other people populating the world, then it's an MMO because it's massive then, you know.
That makes sense.
Yeah, 76 kind of took that approach, but
yeah, I think 76. I think at the end of the day,
shit the bed just the wee bits.
It's actually quite a bit better now. It's not as good as it should have been, but they've fixed it up, and we had fun with it for sure.
It's kind of funny how there's a couple of games that kind of did that route. They launched, they promised a bunch of things, it shit the bed, everybody ragged on it, and then over time they fixed it to where it needed to be. And now it's actually where they wanted it to be, but now everybody's kind of, you know, the trend has already passed, and now, like No Man's Sky definitely, from what I've heard, definitely fits that box. Because when Fallout Sky first came out, I was like, "Oh, this sounds really cool." Oh no, that doesn't actually do what we thought it was going to do. Well, okay, I'm no longer interested. And now that they've had a chance to update, now it's probably more of what I thought No Man's Sky was intended to be, but now the interest isn't there.
So, like, at the end of the day, if you're breaking it down to RPG is a role-playing game, isn't that literally 90% of the games out there? Isn't that the point of video games? You're playing a different role.
Saying that,
I don't think so.
But
I see what you're trying to
leveling up
say.
is a thing in a lot of.
So is it like coming
terminology.
from is it like coming from the fact that you're playing a certain role in a video game, or you have multiple roles to choose from in that game that make it an RPG?
With RPG, okay, with
So here's the
video
thing.
games in general, it's all the terminology about it. Of course, at the end of the day, accounts for anything where you, the consumer of the content, are putting yourself as whoever you are playing as to enjoy the content. At that point, Mario is a role-playing game because you are controlling Mario. You are Mario. But I think when you look at terminology in video games with RPG, you're specifically referencing the mechanics to the game.
Yeah.
Just like when you say FPS, you're specifically mentioning the mechanics of the game. When you say FPS, you're expecting a certain type of game. Because in all technicality, Elder Scrolls is a first-person shooter. It's just that more often than not, you're either quote unquote knifing, or you got a bow, in which case there's your shooter. You got a spell, there's your shooter. It is technically a first-person game, and whether you're actually shooting or not is neither here nor there. But when you say FPS, when you say RPG, you're mentioning the mechanics of the game. First-person shooters is your guns. You're in a first-person perspective. There's no real skill progression. Relying on the skill of yourself. Role-playing games, however, you have an XP progression, you have a skill progression, you have choices in how that skill progression plays out to create quote-unquote builds that you want to go towards. And whether it's first-person perspective and whether you're shooting or not is irrelevant.
Yeah. I mean, I know my answer. I was just kind of making sure everybody else is on the same page for those who
we're all
aren't.
ganging up on JD right now. That's what's happening. It's funnier that way. No, but
not to say there's a right answer, but there's a right answer.
Yeah,
there's no right answer though.
Even some games that you would think might be an RPG are not. Like, some people look to The Last of Us and they're like, well, I mean, you're playing a role in that game. You're making progression through picking up weapons and shit. I don't know if I'd call that an RPG. I'd call it an action adventure FPS maybe.
And that's the other. And that's the other part is you have other games that kind of merge in between. So
action is a genre,
Action
nowadays,
adventure is a genre that blends through to ours. So you can have an action adventure RPG. I was like, okay, well, you have RPG in there. Well, that RPG is considering the mechanic of the progression of skill base and all that, but it's an action adventure RPG where it's third person. It's a little bit more off the cuff. You're not having to deal with cooldowns as much. It's like RPG, but more skill based, more linear. That stuff too. Whereas you can also have something like an FPS RPG, which would be first person shooter like Destiny that has a skill progression. Once you start mixing them all together, of course it becomes more complicated, but it does, when you think of them in terms of the mechanics that are in play, it makes more sense. For example, there's a game that I would call an MMO FPS, massively multiplayer online first-person shooter, and that was the game PlanetSide 2. This was not an RPG. it was like Call of Duty, you didn't have any progressions. You had certain items and builds or whatever you could do depending on what loadout you had. But it was definitely a massively multiplayer online game because basically PlanetSide 2 is a lot like what Warzone developed to be. You had a continent and you fought over different points of interest that had capture points, much like you would see in individual maps in Call of Duty that had capture points. Except for once you were done capturing that base, you won the capture point match, you would go on to the next nearest one. So that would definitely be an FPS MMO. And that's where you can see how some of terminologies reference more of mechanics and how they can fit together to create a whole nother beast. You can have an FPS RPG like Destiny. You can have an FPS MMO like PlanetSide 2. You can have a first-person RPG like Elder Scrolls. And then if you add in Elder Scrolls Online, you can slap the MMO back into there again.
Yeah. Well, so like what Pandemic is saying, if XP progression is a must for RPGs, then Destiny isn't one because Destiny progresses through gear, not experience.
But you do
Really?
still have a central number that you level up with, right?
Yeah.
As you get better gear, you get better weapons, which does whatever. And the thing is too, though, that they're changing is this is the last season that's going to have that gear score, and then they're moving to a power level that you level up. So it's
Interesting.
that argument is not going to matter in a couple months, but as it is, I think it's not what you would traditionally think of as this sort of RPG level up system, but I think there is still progression to be made. It's not how we would normally think about it. I think it is. I think it still qualifies, even though it's got like a different coat of paint on it.
And the thing is, with Destiny, you have to play certain missions in order to unlock certain abilities.
Yep, exactly.
Well. So I mean, there's still progression for sure with that game. It's not your traditional run of the mill level.
And I think there's also a subgenre RPGs that are like that. Destiny is a great example of that, where you either you have your traditional RPG progression where your character is the one that's increasing in level, and then you have games where it's only your gear that has that level progression. Yeah. I think Destiny fits in that latter category, but I do still consider that as a subgenre of RPG because you still have some sort of level progression. And to the point of that, to reference another game, Warframe is also like that in that it's kind of an action RPG where that level progression is based on your items more than yourself.
Yeah.
Would you guys consider Warframe an MMO?
I consider it an action MMO.
I see. The thing is
I would consider
I'm it
instance co-op.
I'm kind of in the middle because it does have some big open world areas where you can find other people. That's the thing, but it's not built around that. It's an instance you load into, right?
Yeah.
Your regular base, roaming around a lot of these cities, you don't really see a lot of people.
Well, that's kind of why I think Destiny isn't considered technically an MMO either, because it's all instance based at the end of the day. Even though you'll see like 8 to 16 people on a planet, you're still only going to see up to 16 people, no more than that.
True, yeah. But in Destiny though, like everything is built around you seeing other people. Everywhere you go, there are people populating it. Even if it's a smaller number than you would hope, it's still people populating it. In Warframe, the only things you do is you have to pick the specific areas that allow for that. Otherwise, it's matchmaking into an instance and then coming back to nothing. It's like the MMO aspect that you would expect is not there. And so it's different to me. I don't know if it qualifies or disqualifies any of them. Personally, off the top of my head, I want to say Destiny is and Warframe isn't, but I don't know. I think there's a solid argument to be made for either.
The bummer is looking up the definition only makes it more vague.
That's true.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. That's why we're having this conversation. It's like it's so vague. It's so vague. Not people actually understand it. Especially new people coming into newer genres. People who haven't played RPGs, MMOs their entire fucking lives are like, yep, okay, that's an RPG now. And then all of a sudden it's like you got people like us like, no, it's not a fucking RPG. What?
Pandemic has a good point in chat. He said you could take away all the other people in Destiny and you would still have the same game. You couldn't do that with a game like WoW.
I think you
but it would be very...
I think you could.
Well, I think what they're saying, I kind of understand what they're saying, is that you could and still have a functional game, but it would be the equivalent of like taking WoW and removing all the irrelevant NPCs that you don't ever interact with, other than for a short little text blurb. It would feel very empty.
Well, not the NPCs, the players.
Massive city of people, but you only see 5 NPCs.
Yeah, and here's the thing for me: like when you break it down, what essentially is being said there is that one game could stand as a single player game, and I think both could. I mean, so the thing is like people might say, oh, well, you've got dungeons, you've got raids, you've got all these things that require, sometimes 30, 60 players. That could be tuned to be a single player experience. I mean, the thing is when it comes down to it, essentially what this almost sounds like to me is if a game has a narrative good enough to stand on its own, then it doesn't count. And that feels weird to me because it almost feels like we're punishing Destiny 2 for having a good narrative that it stands on its own 2 feet. Yeah. And I think one is less reliant on people than the other, but I don't think that hurts its ability as an MMORPG.
True.
I apologize, Pandemic. I didn't only the NPCs. I was just trying to explain like how empty it feels. Ignoring NPCs, I think one of the parts of MMOs is feeling that you're in a space that is actually populated with people, and it comes down to that
multiplayer, right?
Yeah,
like that's part of the whole
if you're
thing.
in a town that's supposed to be a major metropolitan area, you're expecting a major I can't talk.
Major Machu Picchu.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Major
metropolitan area, a large city. Let's just dumb it down. The largest city in a region, you're expecting to have a couple 100 to 1,000 people running around, and there might only be like 16 NPCs that anyone ever interacts with. 16 is definitely not like 10,000. And that's where the other players being there involved. So, and to be true, this also be true if you like joined in on a map that was like you're at midnight, which in cases that would make sense because everybody's asleep. But if that was all the time, it's like where are all the people? Did some event happen that it killed all the people off or whatever?
Guys,
this is a huge town. Where's everybody?
Life is an MMO.
Yeah,
Life is an MMO, dude. There's progression. There's fucking NPCs. There's public events.
Shout out to the side quest streams.
Player housing, fishing, life skills, jobs.
Player housing, bro.
There was a meme that I saw once that was like the IRL was an MMO, and it's like fantastic graphics. Best physics in every game ever. A bit shit on the PvP. It's a major fucking grind. It's definitely pay to win. Like the whole thing. I was like, yeah, you're not
wrong. So Bell, I don't know if I would call V Rising. I mean, so V Rising is more, I think, of an action survival title. My mind doesn't go straight to RPG when it comes to V Rising, but you do have that gear progression like games like Destiny. Fucking hell.
Holy
shit, dude. But it does have that gear progression for sure, but it doesn't have an XP system, but it does have skills. So inherently, I wouldn't call V Rising an RPG, but it does have those gear-like RPG elements. So would it overall be considered that? Is
I would
I guess
definitely consider V Rising an action adventure MMO.
Yeah. I definitely, when I played it, one of the things that people were talking about the most and that I kind of saw the most in it was that it was a crafting game. It was a survival game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're getting into
action
RPG
survival
elements.
Yeah, action survival kind of vibe. I don't even know if I would. I don't even think I would consider V Rising an MMO completely. But like in broad terms,
MO.
in broad terms, as far as seeing other players, then yeah, it could technically be an MMO. Yeah,
that's the case.
Exactly. But then again, those are individual server-based games, which in my mind personally says people are hosting those individual servers, therefore it's not exactly massive in its own sense.
Definitely MO RPG. I mean, not RPG.
Action survival.
Yes, thank you. Action,
That's what we're going with.
Action
There's
survival,
a lot of letters flying around right now. It's hurting my brain a little bit. My smooth chicken breast brain is like wrinkling as we speak. Shriveling up.
But you can run Destiny like COD lobby to do missions and raids. There isn't an auction house and guilds to fill.
I don't think in MMOs. Well, first of all, that has nothing to do with the RPG bit, and I don't think those dictate whether something is an MMO. I think they're tools that make the MMO part better.
I agree.
I think that, and there is a clan system, and the clans, they could be better, but I think.
And I don't think clan systems necessarily make an MMO RPG either, because mentioning PlanetSide 2 that I mentioned earlier, it had outfits, which was their version of clans. So clanning up doesn't necessarily scream our MMORPG either. Like, any game can have a clan system.
Yeah, and I'm a slut for a good auction house, but I don't think the lack of one is necessary to Destiny being an MMO or an RPG.
Yeah.
If it had one, I think it would be fucking sick. I don't know what we would get to sell.
No.
Maybe like
if there was
specific guns.
If there was player trading in Destiny, bro. Oh god.
Dude, player trading maybe not, but like auction house would be pretty great. Maybe have
what would be the currency though? Glimmer?
Well, you've got Glimmer, and then you've got all the other shit too. You've got Harmonic Resonance now. You've got Ascendant Shards.
It would definitely have to be something that was consistently used base currency,
or
that you could get from general gameplay.
Yeah.
Like, you fight a monster, you kill it, you get this resource that is used to purchase another resource. That would be it.
Or would you just make it like a global barter system? So you don't have to straight go to somebody to trade and interact, but it's still like a general hub for a bartering system kind of thing.
That would be a solution too, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I will purchase one Gorbaflor for my 3 Orchin Florfs.
Dang, you're spitting.
Dude, you would give that away right like that? Like,
I'm feeling generous. I don't know.
3?
Yeah, the Gorbaflorps, I mean, they're pretty hard to come by, dude.
Bro, that's like 2 days of grinding right there. The fuck? I don't know about that. I mean,
honestly, the other day I was playing and I came across a Corp Dorpin sitting on the floor. I almost shit my pants. I freaked out, dude. You don't find that anymore.
I don't know why I decided to use was alien speak to cover that.
I mean, have you guys ever come across a slippy dip before?
Yo, the slippy dips, bro.
Dude, I love me a good slippy dip. Hell yeah.
Doesn't like a good slippy dip.
Slurp-a-derper?
Dude, the flim floms? God damn.
At least 3 more hours we can go off on this.
So here's one. I totally saw Bell put this in chat, but I just kind of like we just went on another one. As you know, no, we started fucking going off as per usual. But what about The Sims being an RPG?
Yes,
and that goes. I think that goes more back to the question of XP / gear progression versus
the banana ran off again. Quick, play the clip.
I've got an emote right here.
Just places the banana right off and goes back.
Wait. Do we have the emote ready already?
Yeah, it's in the chat.
No way.
Yeah, really?
Let's go.
I just see juice. What the?
Yeah, so you have to have 7TV installed, but it's on there.
Oh, I don't have that one. No.
Yeah, if you get 7TV, you can see it. It's
damn.
How do I get this?
Give emotes Switch. Give emotes.
Get some browser extension, like better TTV. It gives you a bunch of extra stuff like
TV
You're back? Okay, we're back. Cool.
Yes, you're back.
And then one of these times we could probably just download that file and upload it as an animated emote once we get affiliate on this channel. Because we can't have emotes right now because we're not even an affiliate yet.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And I'm not sure we even stream enough in a month as it is currently to be able to get it. Maybe we should set aside some time to just like do some streams that people show up and get that.
Yeah, do
that's where we got to get the side quest going.
Gaming. Yeah.
So
share gaming.
Honestly, I'm like, if we're all down here, if y'all need your cherries popped, I will play and get D4 with you guys.
Dang, I'm in D4 no matter what. So
I'll get it.
I got pass.
Dang.
I gotta be the stinker. I'm sorry.
That's a shame. But I mean, us three could have some fun with it, I think.
Yeah.
Even just us, you know. Or maybe we just like get everyone in that's watching and wants to hang, and we just do a roaming death squad of new characters. That'd be dope.
Is my...
Do they still have the Demon Slayer in D4?
No, it's the Druid, the Sorcerer, the Rogue, the Barbarian, and the Necromancer.
How's the Sorcerer play?
So there are 3 different things you can do. There's fire abilities, ice abilities, and lightning abilities, and they all have a different kind of playstyle to them. The Arc Sorcerer is the strongest by far, and then
that's the Electro one, right?
Yeah, and then the ice comes second, and the fire is not very good at all, but it looks really cool.
Bro, I always see the nanner.
It's flashy, and everybody's gonna gravitate toward it because fire. Burn everything to the ground. No, but yeah, that makes sense.
Bro, I see the nanner, dude.
The nanner, dude.
Let's go.
I gotta be on Chrome for the extension. No.
So
I think it'd be funny if we sped these up 2 times and like by 2 times speed, and then made emotes out of those.
What you got to do is you got to download the browser extension off of 7TV, and then go into your chat settings, and there should be
on Firefox.
It should
there's
go onto Firefox
on their
too.
Website.
Yeah.
It should work out of the box. You just go install that on your browser. You have to be on a computer, not a phone, and then you just come back to Twitch, refresh the Twitch, and it should just start working.
Yeah, if it doesn't start working, click on your chat settings, and there should be an extension kind of settings at the bottom, and you might just have to enable it. Because I also have the Better TV extension, so I have to enable 7TV emotes as well under the emote section. And now I'm seeing it fine.
No, okay. You know what? I don't need to be doing this right now. I'll be working on this for the next 10 minutes. So We can.
But
Skip
yeah,
that later.
I mean, if you guys for sure, I'll hit Jorah up probably. We could do a 4-man for D4. That would, I mean, that would give me an excuse to get the game for sure.
4 million.
And you know what? If y'all want to do another night,
Juice.
sometime.
Juice is hella quiet, but every now and again I hear him and I look up and he's just vibing.
I'm sorry, Juice. You probably have like everything of what you want to say. We're just. I'm sorry, man.
I'm excited for it. You know, hopping into any map, any game with the bros, just
Yes,
running
sir.
shit. You know, I'm always down for it.
Dude, Black Ops 2, it's got to happen soon.
Yeah.
Listen, don't tug on my heartstrings like this, man.
I'm dead ass. I will send you a link in the group chat to the client right now.
Bell wants me to play Destiny 2. Fuck.
It's. I mean,
Destiny 2 would also be a cool opportunity.
It's definitely something to start and try, like to experience at least once. You know, figure it out for yourself whether you like it. It's not a bad game by any means. If you've never played the Destiny before, jump into it, like for sure.
I've played a little bit of Destiny 1, but I kind of got weaned off of it because of my penchant to solo, and then my penchant to explore, and Destiny kind of punishes that because I quickly found out if you explore areas, you kind of get fucked in the ass.
Well, there is some stuff to find. Like there's some secrets to every like planet and stuff like that.
Yeah, but when I'm at level 1, rolling up on a 20, whatever those guys with the Pharaoh crests are.
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah.
There's only one world where that should
definitely not
matter.
supposed to be here.
There's only one world. Well, if you wander into like a lost sector, that might be a different thing, but there's only one world where that should even matter. And that's the new one that came out, the new expansion. The other ones, you shouldn't have any issues roaming and killing things. They're all pretty.
Maybe I need to play Destiny 2 then, because Destiny 1 was not.
Yeah, I think they might have done it differently, but here
I remember it was like it was one of the. And I was playing through it with a friend, and I was like, "Oh, there's a bunker over here. Let me go down here and find out." And immediately got killed by a level 20 NPC, and I'm like, "What the fuck?
Oh god!
I'm definitely not supposed to be down here."
What are you doing?
Like, but level 1s are going up overhead of this location. Why are you here? Oh no.
But yeah, it's definitely like worth a perusal. If you haven't played it before, like again, Diablo 4 is not bad. I'm just ruined by Diablo 3. So I just had no drive like everybody else to jump into D4. But again, something I'll let you guys determine this. Something we could either touch on now or a different episode. But how tolerable have games become versus the actual gameplay and playing with friends?
Yeah, that's
definitely a side quest conversation. Good. I love that question. Actually, please someone write that. Can we write that down?
That's a good question.
I think we could do an episode
that I
on
can
that.
say about that.
Honestly,
I can say some things to that for sure.
We can make a whole episode of that. I think we should. And plus, we're at a really solid time to cut off. So.
Oh shit, we're at like exactly 5 o'clock. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Good job, guys. Any ending thoughts? Anything anybody wants to spew out before we start throwing socials at everybody?
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Sure.
I think I've said enough.
Hi, Juice's mom.
Juice's mom. Well, let's go around. Starting with Juice.
Yeah, Juice Wayne, 2 A's, 2 Y's, pretty much on everything.
Feel free to throw it in chat too.
Yeah, absolutely.
for the YouTubers who aren't here on Twitch, who missed the absolutely amazing DJ set that we are having every pre-episode. Don't forget to jump on over here.
So good.
Twitch.tv/EXP share official.
Exactly. Soon to be on different channels. We're probably going to go on Kick. We're probably going to start streaming on YouTube. Maybe Facebook as well. But we're going to cut that shit out of the VOD. You got to get over here. You ain't getting a set on the VOD. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen.
You definitely got to come in here. It's such a vibe. It was so good. I was enjoying every minute of it.
Hell yeah.
Kefka, socials?
It's always fun.
Yeah.
All right. You can find me in 3.
And he cuts out. God damn it.
No!
Reaction. Take.
Do I need to reload?
No, you're good. You're good. Just redo it. Just redo it.
Oh my God.
Roll it back.
Fucking Discord. So yes, I am also a.
Oh my God.
It's still doing it.
Dude, again, bro.
I'm gonna dip out real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, restart. We'll go with Kyle. Kyle, throw your shit down.
Yeah, what's up? Hi, everybody. I'm Kyle. You can find me here in this link. It's got my Twitter, my Twitch, my Kick, and everything else that you might want in Discord, and it's pretty neat.
It's pretty neat.
It's pretty
neat. I'm really active on Twitter. I shit post all the time. I post motivational stuff. It's a great time. Our Discord's popping, so
popping,
locking,
dropping.
Yeah.
All right, let's try this one more time. Tippy topping, shit, dude.
Yes, sure.
going all out.
Does not like me right now. Yes, I am also a Discord streamer. I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday for a variety of games. Everything from horror to first-person shooter to RPG. Everything that we've talked about here. 7 Days to Die, Dying Light, Genshin Impact. Currently playing Fallout New Vegas. Just a good variety of different things. But you can check me out here. I also have a good amount of memes and stuff that I post on Twitter, and I also have old clips and funny highlights on my YouTube there.
Love it. Thank you very much, Kefka. Go check out his YouTube. Thank you for joining us. Lovely.
I've loved
MMO.
every moment of this. This is great, y'all.
I've been waiting for this conversation, dude. I really have.
Yeah.
On one hand, I was like prepared to talk like even more about Star Trek Online, but I feel like I've talked enough about it, and we really got into a lot of really good stuff with the other MMO stuff, and I'm really pleased. I really like how this came out.
Like I said in previous episodes, if anybody's been here already and wants to come back again for another episode, feel free to DM me, or I believe we have the form somewhere buried in the Crack Media Discord. I'll have to put it somewhere more permanent. But please fill that out for my sanity's sake. Don't just DM me saying I want to be on another episode, because I'm going to forget and not associate it.
Gotta be on the calendar.
Yeah. Hopefully, oh man, I actually have to start scheduling the next people too. I just saw that as well. I've been slacking.
By the way, if we end up needing guests or we want a buffer week, I mean, my boys that I stream with all the time, and we have our own podcast, so we're good at talking. Well, I mean, I could get them on for sure.
For sure. Yeah, just dude, content is content at this point.
Yeah.
What's next for next stream? I'm kind of curious.
Again, that depends on who I'm bringing on. I got a few people on the list. I think Bell is actually up next. So if you're free, we can bring you on for the next one as well. I just got contacted by, for those of you who do know, Fully Custom. Apparently, She's getting into her PhD and wants to talk about the psychology of gamers today and bringing people together. So, as far as the previous topic that I mentioned beforehand, I think that would be a good time to intertwine those. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. Other than that, I personally need to start streaming more again. I've actually had some DMs, people like, "Yo, where's the Counter-Strike stream? What are you doing? What are you doing? Where's the V Rising stream? Where you at?" So when I get into that, definitely twitch.tv/jdogging. You can find me on Twitter, the same /jdogging. If you have a question, it's /jdogging, bro. I don't know how else to evenly put it. But other than that, I think we're good here. Much love to Kefka for showing up. Thanks to the boys, really Juice and Kyle, always being here. It was an amazing episode. I had fun. I hope you guys did too.
I'm gonna go find my king dings outside. I think I'm gonna have a good time with that.
Your what?
My king dings.
That's what I thought you said.
They're usually right next to the Schmeckledorfs.
God damn it.
Oh my god. Well, yeah. Website coming soon, hopefully. We're gonna have.
We've been saying that.
Dude, well, the
website coming soon a month ago.
So okay, I'm breaking off the website and the podcast hosting, but technically it is a website. So the podcast will be hosted on a web page. It's not going to be our central web page. We got more ideas on what to do, so we're going to have to work on that. But as far as the podcasts being hosted on a central web page, going to be able to be accessed pure audio off of all podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, what have you. That should be done this week, and we'll keep you guys updated on that within the Discord as well. So, without further ado, I bid thee farewell.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Great episode, boys. Love y'all. Peace.
Bye-bye.